we standing tall, we doing what we did before, and in the worst circumstances possible, we succeeding and delivering the quality, and we are live our lives through war, and we deserve to actually be lifted up, not brought down.
So, Irina, this is actually the fourth time that I've caught up with you. The first time was when we talked just before Vidbeer 2022 back on Eurovox. And I keep thinking about how even then, that was of course before Russia launched its full scale invasion of Ukraine. But I keep thinking about how the war has always defined our conversations together. And I want to know how do you look back at life as it was before?
I don't even remember right now how it was before. It's just like another life, another person, and this is our reality right now, and we're just trying to do our best at everything, and handling the war and helping people, and living our lives. And I'm actually proud of us, how we handle, how we enduring, and how we resilient. And yeah, I think Ukrainians are the toughest people right now. Uh,
And I think a lot of people have been seeing that resilience over the course of this, horrible moment in history. I want to know, how are you feeling going into this new edition of Vidbeer?
um, I'm looking forward to it. You beginning to cherish something that makes you happy, because the all the stages you're going through with war, the stress, the disappointment, the sadness, the grief. It's just it's really nice that you still have the thing that makes you happy and distracted. And it's not only about me. We can see how with beer was like so engaging for for audience that we crushed our application dia. Yeah, this is just the one thing that proves how we invested in this, and how it actually distracts us and helps us to be happy.
I definitely want to talk about that. I want to talk about last year because, as you mentioned, the voting crashed when when Vidbeer was deciding its art when Ukraine was deciding its artists to represent them at Eurovision 2024. And what was notable about last year was that it was one of those selections where an early favorite emerged, Teresa and Maria by Aliana and Jerry Hale. It made a big impression both within the domestic Ukrainian audience and internationally, and then went on to win the selection, unsurprisingly, with over 700,000 votes, which that must have been a record, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's also a kind of a record. The time range that we can actually vote on this, and all the people who were like not technically savvy got to it too. So that's why the result.
It's I mean it just goes to show you, like, when you've got something that people really believe in, they will support it as best as they can. I'd like to know, how do you look back on 2024 with regards to the song itself and its success?
I think it's just on point. The result and the success. I think it got all it deserved. It was a year where I personally liked so many songs, and so many artists were just deserving to uh, top three or winning. I don't know. I was in love with Bambi's performance, and I really was turned up between the two, the first and the second place we have right now. And obviously, a little bias about our um, Alona and Jerry performance and the song. And the song was so meaningful. Just I think it got what it deserved, and we can celebrate this.
Another thing that struck me about last year was that in the grand final, we know that there is a new way of making the running order where they introduced the producer's choice. And Ukraine was one of the songs that was drawn into that, and so that meant that it could be theoretically placed anywhere in the running order, and it was placed in what is often referred to as the slot of death. Statistically, it has not produced a winner, and often, songs that perform in that spot do not score well. How did people feel about being placed in the quote unquote slot of death?
Yeah, we were not happy, and we were like, at that point, I think it was a still fair and square fight for um, first place, and we were very bitter about it. I would say me. Um, for myself, I was. I didn't think it was necessary to prove that second place it's not that spot. It just relate to your staging or your song quality.
I'm going to ask, do you think that Ukraine could have won or at least beat Croatia for being the televote winner if it had performed later? Do you think that would have changed things in any way?
I think it would have get more televote. I'm sure of it. Could it be Croatia? I can't speculate really because again, I love Croatia's song. I mean, Nemo was vocally the brightest star over there, and absolutely justifiably run away with the trophy. So it's very hard to speculate, but I convinced that second place kind of a little impacted televoting result. Yes.
Interesting. But anyway, I'll stop asking you about last year because obviously we're we're looking at a new Vidbeer, and you've touched already on particularly how like last year it's become a moment for people to celebrate a bit more and really look towards something. This year, what are the conversations like about Vidbeer with regards to the event itself or the songs? Like, what are you hearing Ukrainians talk about most often?
They talk about Finca.
Oh yeah.
We like all the songs overall, and I don't think like looking at winning the whole thing. I think we're looking at delivering quality and musically. We're trying to be on the same level, elevated level. So this was our goal, and I think we have enough songs to actually, achieve that goal.
Well, you already teased one of the, at least one of the artists, Finca, who won the wildcard vote, and is also a returning artist. We saw her in Vidbeer 2023, and if I'm remembering correctly, both you and I were big fans of that song, Dovbush.
Yeah, it was very funny.
Yeah, I still listen to that nowadays.
Too. Me too. Occasionally, it's just fun. It's fun all around, and I think she has an advance because they had to be so viral on TikTok. They pushed so hard. They worked so hard to promote her song, so she would ended up in the final as a wild card. So it went viral, and it will be like so popular. It will be top five for sure.
Well, I mean, I think that obviously helps when you are in a kind of a first round of voting and you're you're able to be successful. But not only that, because she's also built herself as an online personality where she's doing these sketches as well. And obviously she brought that to her first performance. It didn't quite come across vocally, and I remember that she also kind of admitted that she wasn't at her best. Do you think that that impressions might change when we get to seeing it live, or do you think that like she will have prepared herself a bit more?
Uh, as we know, there are like vocal songs and songs that not requiring a lot effort in this area, and I think this is the case over here. If you're not particularly strong in this area, you have to lean into others and just utilize wherever is the perfect thing for you, what works best for you, what's your best skill out there. And I think she has a lot of aces in her sleeve, so we'll see.
Hmm. And even kind of despite the vocals, she's still she's fun to watch, right? She's a personality.
Oh, I love her.
Moving on to someone else, one of the artists that I see topping a lot of polls is Masha. And I was doing a little bit of digging because I don't think that she's participated in Vidbeer before, has she?
I'm probably in long list, but we don't know at this point.
Fair enough. But one of the songs that she is best known for is called Vanka Vstanka. And I would love for you to explain this song and its popularity.
Do you need monetization on this video?
I, I just want the goods. If I need to turn monetization off, then I'm totally fine.
Um, it should have been like, part of some stand-up comedy show with this song, because it's totally mocking invaders by their classical names, and it's just mocking you have to, if you come to Orlando, you have to prepare your body bag. So don't come empty-handed. Get your body bag with you. So yeah, that's it. I think. Okay, I love this one. Guilty pleasure, and I really love Masha because she's such an artist. She's a dancer. She's an actress, and I think she's perfect for Eurovision. She's a contender. She's first in the odds and first among the fans. The choreographer Konstantin Tamilchenko, who created perfect staging for Goe and for Jamala. He will work on her too. And I know we mentioned all the Eurovision things, but he also worked at Circus du Soleil, where he created a lot of beauty that impressed people. So yeah, he's genius. I want to see him more and more. So there are a lot of fear about vocal delivery as well, and yeah, so I don't think they will lean into this. It will be more about staging and delivering the mood and the feel of the song to the Tellwater.
Mm-hmm. And in this case, unlike Vanka Stanka, this one, it's not mocking anyone. It's quite a bit more somber. Well, maybe not somber, but it's sentimental, right? And as using 1944 as an example, I think that having that level of sensibility for a song like this, which it still has a different feel. It's energetic. It's got kind of like a trance vibe to it. I think that sounds like a pretty good recipe for success, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think she might have a good shot at winning with beer. Yes.
Cool. Another artist that some people will recognize if they've seen Vidbeer from a few years ago would be Hayat. He came second in 2020, the year that Goe won. What are the impressions like about his song this year?
Hayat is very good vocally, and he's very authentic. So this is his strongest part, and then I think he's gonna play on this. I didn't see him as much previous years. He was volunteering. I totally understand. Like I remember myself, like first years of full scale invasion, and I totally understand. It was not the case where you think about art or uh, anything else, just full on survival and fight mode. This is a statement. He's back. He's gonna be on this level of our pop scene. He's there, and he's a heavy lifter, I would say. Me particularly, I'm not a huge fan of the lyrics, and there is no particular chorus to sing to. It's just like music. We'll see. I wish him good luck. But people in I think it's a sentiment, and he has a very big fan base, and he worked hard for this, so he'll be around top five, top three. Yeah.
So we also see some new names that are participating in Vidbeer for the first time, and one of them is Abia. Tell me about her and her song.
Yeah, so Abia, it's from Ukrainian something all of a sudden, and we discovered her all of a sudden. She's brilliant. She's a excellent composer and artist and a musician. She's a part of a famous volunteer group, and she traveled through Ukraine and helped with that group to a lot of people. And she was struck by stories, girls that were raped at occupied territories by Russian soldiers. So she wrote the song about that. It's a song basically about that, but it's a lot of metaphors, like when you're building like safe place in your mind, when you're like enduring something like that horrendous. And so she's singing about a house. She's building a house. Я будую тобі дім house. And yeah, it's very beautiful. And I know she probably not gonna be in the top five. I'm not as sure, because she's in the running order. She's also kind of very early, and I want her to be recognized for the musicians she is, and I want her to start her career because she's one of the interesting artists right now. Yeah.
Maybe this could be a great opportunity for her to make an impression this time around, and then in future. Well, I mean, obviously, we don't want to prematurely shoot down her chances in case she ends up being the one that people like most. But even if she isn't, it could be a great opportunity for future success. Another artist to talk about is DK Energetic. And one thing that I found out about these guys is that they had made some contributions to a notable video game, Stalker 2. Is that their claim to fame for the time being, or are they known for other things?
Oh, they're pretty famous in Ukraine. I think person who selected the soundtrack for Stalker game, which is legendary game, that person should be part of with beer production, like, because all the songs were like so good. And Decay Energetic, it means it related to our history and the culture. All our like concert halls during Soviet era, they called like Dim Kultury, DK. Dim Kultury is a house of culture, and they usually
Right.
randomly like name related to the location wherever you were doing there, like agriculture or anything. So yeah, the Decay Energetic, it's like mean from the past. And the sound also Depeche Mode. They have a fan base. I'm one of them.
Okay.
I like the sound. It's also has a depth and a meaning, and I like that they didn't fold into a mold of Eurovision or Vidbeer. They just brought their own song, their own writing, and they're very honest. They're very true to themselves, and the how they deliver, it's so interesting. Would you agree?
Oh, absolutely. And I think that what you said about avoiding the Eurovision model and just kind of doing your own thing, we've seen that also be the key to success for some artists. Some people are still looking for that authenticity as well.
Yeah. I don't think they will end up high because it's very niche for Ukrainians, for ordinary people. So yeah, they not in the run, unfortunately.
Well, again, it's still a great way to kind of get their feet wet in Vidbeer. Much like another artist who is debuting at Vidbeer for the first time, Molody, with their song My Sea, also getting their feet wet in the sea. Tell me about them and their song.
Yeah, they new artists, but I want you to pay attention because the song itself is very good. It's so good that it already made a lot of fans, and they were street musicians in Mariupol, and they sing about Mariupol. They sing about the Azov Sea, and it feels like we heard something like this before, but still the lyrics are genuine. It's what they feel, and we cry a lot when we hear this song, and it's so good that it's not only pinching your heart as Ukrainian, but it sounded so contemporary and well built. It's a quality song. I think it will be Dark Horse.
One last artist that we're going to talk about is another returning artist, Zifferblatt, who were the runner-ups in 2024. They won the jury vote. Clearly, running off of a bit of momentum from the success from last year. And it sounds like there's a lot of positive reception about this song as well.
Oh yeah, Zifferblatt is the main contender. I think, in my opinion, it's the main contender to win. And I think the placing, the ninth in the running order, it will help them. And they are just a solid artists. Solid artists, they will deliver. We don't need to talk about vocals, only in the part that the song vocally is so interesting. The lyrics is good. The song composition is good, and they are very good vocally. I don't know about staging. I didn't hear anything, any ace in their sleeves as Masha has, Temilchenko, anyone. But yeah, I want them to be best, and yeah, this is my winner, and they kind of fighting with Masha for the first place in all over internet in top 10. Yeah.
And I mean that was of course where I was gonna end things, asking you about who you think is most likely to win, and so it sounds like it's those two.
We still, I think I'm convinced that we are still gonna be surprised because it's a live performance, and it will be also impacted by jury. They hear more, and I think we still don't know for sure who's gonna win. Maybe it's gonna be Masha or Finka. So we will see. We'll see.
Okay. Well, that is a great place to leave off, but there is one last thing that I'd like to ask you, because with Eurovision nowadays, we know that the contest is under a lot of scrutiny, and, particularly for political messaging for the countries that are being involved. It seems that at times, when it comes to, well, we've seen this over the course of the last few years, that there can still be some cynicism around Ukraine's participation while this war is going on. And I'm wondering if you have anything to say to people in the community who you think is something that you think that you want them to understand about how Ukrainians are feeling at this point and why Eurovision means so much to them.
I will have a message for Ukrainians, not for the people who were try to scrutinize them. They don't have any right to say anything. They don't live the same way we do. They don't live our lives. They're not in any danger. How Ukrainians, like every particular second. So you don't get to say. And I think we should focus on preserving our culture, because Russia wants to destroy our culture, and this is part of our culture. We're succeeding in many things, and we should live our lives. Our soldiers die not for they dying to protect this country, and this country should live and prosper and fight for um, its place, and nobody should feel the right to tell us how we should live our life. You still bring your kids to school, we still going to work, we still going to restaurant. Your life didn't stop. Our country is the biggest country, and the war probably sometimes for Ukrainians feels very distant, because distance is huge, and still we support each other and we support our army that protects us. That's all I want to say.
I remember when we talked about this in 2023, you also said that Eurovision is a way of kind of documenting the point in history. And how do you think this year will document Ukraine's moment in history right now?
I think it just shows how resilient we are, and that we standing tall. We doing what we did before, and in the worst circumstances possible, we succeeding and delivering the quality, because we are the same, just like you. We are scientists, we engineers, teachers, social workers, and musicians, and we are live our lives through war, and we deserve to actually be lifted up, not brought down.
Very well said, Irina. Thank you so much for your time. It's always it's always a mixture of emotions when we meet, because there's always we can't avoid talking about what needs to be talked about. But it's so great to hear the way that yourself and everyone stands up in the face of injustice. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing for us. Yeah, and it was a pleasure to talk to you again.